Emergency pod. Dylan. Oh,
uh,
the Dodgers have elected a new outfielder.
it's the day our pod drops. I'm like
Always.
debating, should we push the pod back a day just so we can catch this news cycle eventually for the longer pod episodes?
Because it's just going to keep shifting and shifting. We're never
Yeah,
going to catch it.
yeah. It's insane. I see the smoke. It's unfortunately Dodger blue. I can't believe we're here again.
Yeah, the Dodgers getting the biggest fish in free agency.
Again.
Deja vu all over again. Every year we're saying this. Otani, Yamamoto, Tucker, Sasaki, just a constant. And, we'll talk about Tucker's deal and everything, but I really want to discuss before we even get into that why Steve Cohen would tweet this out.
I mean, he claimed in a second tweet, which I'm assuming you don't believe because nobody believes because it's all BS. But an hour later, for those who don't understand the Pope election reference, we're waiting for a decision. That's all I know. That's all you know. You're the owner of the team. You're the one who offered the contract. That's all you know.
You're not in the New York, market, right?
Right.
This is almost definitely a reference to the Giants and John Harbaugh signing the head coach, because one of the earliest people to report that it was happening was a Giants account that was right, and he was right on the money with everything. And he tweeted out the white smoke coming out of the Vatican yesterday morning. So that was something that was being referenced on Giants Twitter, in New York sports Twitter. So this wasn't him coming up with something out of the blue. This was something that was fresh in everybody's mind. Yeah. I don't believe in coincidences enough to think that he thought of this separately, if you know what I mean.
So you think he thought the deal was done and the Dodgers came in at the last? Because we had talked about Tucker yesterday, some of the reports that we were hearing, and we'd heard Toronto was offering a 7-8 year deal, somewhere in that range. And we heard the Mets were offering a 3-ish year deal for $50 million a year. He ends up going to the Dodgers. It's a 4-year deal, $60 million a year, opt out after 2. So it sounds like Steve Cohen got outbid.
But Steve Cohen doesn't get outbid. He's Uncle Stevie.
Hey man, based on the timeline of reporting, I think he got outbid by the Dodgers, man. And
I wonder if Tucker never brought that offer to Cohen. I wonder if Cohen would have, if it was brought back to him, would have matched it, or even above.
I think that. Do you want to move into Dodger talk, or do you want to stay on how disappointing the Mets are?
We'll circle back to the Mets, and we'll circle back to the Blue Jays and what it means for both of them. Let's go to the Dodgers. 4 years, $240 million, $60 million a year.
Yep.
Insanity.
Yeah. I'm having very conflicted feelings about this because I am angry as a Yankees fan, as a baseball fan. We have reached the point with the Dodgers where, for my NBA fans out there, we're at Kevin Durant on the Warriors timeline so the Dodgers win back-to-back. The Warriors didn't win back-to-back. They won the title, then they won 73 games, lost in 7, and then got Kevin Durant. So we're 1 game away from this being exactly Warriors territory. And it's this team that's so dominant, has already the best players, it feels like, adds in, a top 5, top 7 outfielder in the sport who had other offers to go to competing teams. As a baseball fan, I would have loved to have seen Toronto and a rematch between Toronto and LA with Tucker now on the Jays. And instead, we see Kyle Tucker go to the evil empire of baseball And it used to be our team, so I get it. And I want to be clear here. No shade at the Dodgers. Never satisfied, always trying to win. Things that we talked about with this team when we talked in the World Series episode, why I respected them and their front office so much, because every season's new, always trying to get better. They actually live it. And I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at their fans. I mean, if you became a bandwagon fan, I don't think
you're not a fan though. Then
like I'm just saying, like it's a little less celebrating for you, but I get it. I'm a little disappointed in Kyle Tucker,
but
I also understand it.
The money.
Listen, $60 million a year. You get to play in LA. You get to be on the best team in baseball. You get to win. I do understand. Yeah, I do understand the appeal to it. It's just a little disappointing as a baseball fan. And I know anything can happen. 162, injuries, trades, breakout players. It felt like last year going into the year, we all thought the Dodgers were going to win the World Series. I'd be shocked if when we got to our prediction show this year, if we have the four of us on or even have the four of us with our predictions, if anybody picks anybody but the Dodgers to repeat.
Don't tempt me.
It's
impossible to justify not.
It just feels over already.
The Dodgers.
It's January and it feels like the baseball season just ended.
Luckily,
that's how I feel in the moment. Instant reaction.
Baseball. The reason why, in certain ways, it's better than every other sport. It's 162 games that regular season.
Yes,
it is not a 17-game season, an 81-game season. It is 162 long.
Yeah, and injuries happen. And again, not
Teams
wishing that or anything, but it does happen. And baseball is a who's hot at the right time sport, and you can lose very quickly in baseball. And so, again, it's an overreaction. It's an instant reaction.
Yeah.
Is there a point in playing the games? Absolutely. But my initial gut reaction to this is the best team in the sport just got significantly better. And a guy that I thought could go to a team and elevate them to contend against the Dodgers just went to the Dodgers.
The Dodgers did nothing wrong. Tucker did nothing wrong. You could be disappointed that he chose to chase the money and chase the ring instead of, going somewhere for the better of the sport. But you can't really fault him for getting paid, especially with a lockout looming. Like that is almost definitely going to happen. The opt-out after 2 years. So 2 years, $120 million. How do you not take that? The people you should be upset at are the owners of every single other team that didn't sign him, because
it's tough to say every other team. How many teams are really contending and how many teams really had $60 million a year to spend on Tucker?
To the first point, fair. Not every team is contending. The Marlins aren't, the Pirates, even the Angels, White Sox, sure, fine. But every single team should be able to afford a guy like
opt-outs for Tucker after the second and third season per Rosenthal.
No, so Tucker is locked in there for 2 seasons. It's not like the Dodgers need their window open anymore.
Yeah.
But every team, if you own a team, you should be able to afford any type of payroll pretty much. Like if you're competing against the Dodgers on the field, you should be able to compete with them in the front office too. You can't just, be in another
and again, there's plenty of teams that have plenty of money. We did this whole thing, but I will pull up the chart again. MLB owners net worth, and again, maybe he didn't go back to Steve Cohen because we know Steve Cohen had the money to do this, right?
I'm choosing to believe he didn't bring it back.
The Blue Jays had the money to do this. You go to these teams that have money, the Tigers, the Nationals, a team that isn't spending right now, but does have $5.7 billion in their owners' net worth. The Boston Red Sox, the Giants, the Angels, the Cubs, Orioles, Phillies, Rangers. All of those guys' owners are worth $3.8 billion and up.
You know who I didn't hear in that? I didn't hear the Yankees or the Steinbrenners.
Right, because,
they're one of the more cash poor owners.
Yeah, right. And to be honest, if the Yankees had given Tucker this contract, we would have been upset probably. I don't know if this exact contract, because
No.
of the short length of it, we would have been upset about,
If we
but the
gave him
amount of
6
money
yeah,
allocated
yeah.
would have been upsetting. And
Only upsetting
because the
because of
Yankees are on a payroll, which we
right,
know about,
that's why it would have been
like
upsetting
the
to
Yankees have
Conway.
a self-imposed cap, which this would have obliterated, if we're being honest. Cody Bellinger, what a winner you are today, because now 50
Yeah,
million sounds like a steal for him based on this.
I wanted to bring up Bellinger and Bichette, but so we talked to Dodgers. Dodgers are the favorite.
Yeah,
Where do the Blue
and good
Jays
for the
fall, though?
Dodgers.
They lost
I
out on
they
Tucker. I feel like they were the 3rd
they
team.
got to go back to Bichette, right?
You have to.
I
I
mean,
mean,
and maybe they're in on Bellinger. Maybe they want to prioritize outfield, and hey, they're willing to not overpay for Bellinger, but pay up to what the market indicates, and the Yankees probably aren't.
or
Like, if the Blue Jays are, because the Blue Jays are reportedly willing to give Tucker a 7-year deal,
yeah,
they just offer Cody Bellinger what they offered
Tucker,
Kyle Tucker, because that's what we hear is the holdup for the Yankees and
7
Bellinger.
years.
So, are they willing to go that far with a player like Bellinger to try and keep up in this arms race now with LA?
Now, another, name that we've talked about with the Yankees, obviously, but it fits a lot with what the Blue Jays like to do. Good at bats, strong defense. The trade market's still out there. Could
Yep.
Stephen Kwan be a guy that the Blue Jays now target to fill that outfield spot? He's great on defense.
I think
Really
so.
good.
And I expect them to be aggressive. And I think you could swing Quan and Bichette in one offseason if
Oh,
you were them.
absolutely.
So I expect Toronto to still stay hyper aggressive and a move to come from this team. That's for sure. Now they are competing with the Phillies for Bo Bichette. I'm sure there's other teams out there. The one thing I want to note about this free agency, usually we hear noise or see smoke around certain teams. All of these free agents have gone to teams that we heard little to nothing about. Dodgers, we talked about as like they poked interest at Tucker, which was like kind of what every good team's report on them was. The Orioles, we heard nothing about them in Pete Alonso. The Cubs, we heard nothing about them in Alex Bregman. So there's a possibility that Bo Bichette winds up on Seattle, and like we just never even heard about it.
I think I like that better though than the
I mean, I like it better when it's not Tucker to the Dodgers.
true. But like there's always that joke about players should just show up on opening day on a new team and nobody knows.
Oh, like a WWE Royal Rumble entrance.
Exactly. And I feel like although impossible to pull off,
this is as close as we get.
This is as close as we get. And it is kind of fun where like you hear no rumblings, then all of a sudden, Kyle Tucker's a Dodger, Pete Alonso is an Oriole.
Yeah.
Like you don't hear about it, and then all of a sudden it just happens. There's no rumblings. There's no getting
right. That's why I still am holding out hope as a Yankees fan we get Bichette. I haven't heard nothing about it.
I heard that they checked in on him.
Yeah, well, that's what we heard about the Dodgers and Tucker.
Right.
So maybe that's the new one. Checked
and as
in
we talked the other day, we were going over pre-show. All right, the Mets are in on Tucker, the Blue Jays, and then I was like, I think I saw some Dodger reports, and we're just like, but there's really not many things connecting him. Is just them checking in just because they're the Dodgers. They check in on everybody. We weren't taking it too seriously, and then bam,
I do want to circle back to old Stevie boy here. What do they do? I mean, they have to be back in on Bellinger now, right?
They have to. So Bellinger lucked out big
I mean,
time.
Bellinger's market may just explode right now because the three teams that we thought, the three teams that we talked about that should have been most in on Tucker, in our opinions, were the Mets, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees. Again, teams that we thought should load up in this arms race to try and compete with the Dodgers. He ends up going to the Dodgers. So none of those three teams get him. And now there's only one free agent on the market. Scott Boras is salivating at the mouth right now.
I just don't know. It just feels like the way free agency has always been handled with Bellinger. This year, a few years ago when he signed with the Cubs for that smaller deal.
Yep.
Teams don't seem to love Bellinger.
But does it even matter now that the Dodgers made this move? Now that you have to compete with a team who's their opening batting order, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Tucker. I mean, order it however you want, but that's the four. And then they got Will Smith, who I thought had a case for World Series MVP, but right behind those guys. Tommy Edman, who was an NLCS MVP.
I don't want to think that team. That's an all-star team. Like every year in and year out.
The LA Dodgers might have 7+ all-stars this year. 8? I mean, Tucker. I mean, guys that could be an all-star at least. Tucker. Betts, Freeman, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Edwin Diaz, Will Smith. Blake Snell,
Roki Sasaki.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he will be, but
he has the talent.
It's just
then insane. You got bullpen arms that always seem to pop off.
It's insane.
Tanner Scott figures it out, or
all of a sudden, Tanner Scott's the best 8th inning pitcher in baseball. I mean, they're loaded, and they're everything the Mets thought that they would be.
So, but where do the Mets go? Is it an overpay for Tucker? Do they give Tucker that? I don't know if the Mets go for that 7th year because they were going
on Bellinger. They were going short. Yeah, I think maybe they're the Quan team.
I don't know if the Mets are the Quan team. I feel like the Blue Jays are the most uniquely suited for Quan, unless the Guardians want to get him out of the AL. But I don't think Quan is good enough to worry about that too much.
Like, do you think, though, Bellinger to the Blue Jays because they're willing to commit, and Quan to the Mets and the Yankees get nothing? That sounds like the most realistic outcome to me.
Very, very possible. I think at that point.
And then Bichette to Philadelphia. If you're the Phillies, they weren't necessarily in on Tucker, but we looked at them as the biggest competitor to the Dodgers in the NL last year, and all of a sudden you're falling even farther behind. This has to heat up Bichette's market in a way too, because Toronto and Philadelphia both will now very much be in on him.
And they probably want Boston back too, right?
Boston, we heard, is probably in on him. Oh, that's the most likely outcome. Oh, Mets get Quan. Blue Jays get Bellinger, Yankees get Bader. That's the most likely outcome here.
No, because we have Grisham to play center. We don't need Bader, but the Phillies need and want Bader.
Yeah,
so that gives some urgency,
especially with the Kepler news.
Right, so that gives them urgency doubly now to bring back Bader, get Bichette. Bichette's price just went up.
Everybody's Everybody's price just went up because now teams are going to be in panic mode trying to compete with this Dodgers team. And once again, hate it as a baseball fan, so be it. But the LA Dodgers are the excellence of this sport. They are on another level than all these teams.
It is maddening. It's annoying, but you got to give credit where it's due. The Dodgers, with all their deferrals and everything, they're using loopholes no other team is really using to put the best teams and the best talent on the field. And it's working. Back-to-back World Series titles. Everybody clowned on them. Mickey Mouse 2020 World Series ring. Get Kershaw a real ring. Well, they got him 2 now in a row. And they're probably going for 3, 4, or 5.
Yeah, I'm trying to open up FanDuel here. Before we sign off, I got to see if there's updated World Series odds out there. Because I think we may, if there is, we may have reached the point of the Dodgers being minus plus 220. The Dodgers are plus 220. Somehow, some way, our New York Yankees are second in odds at 10-1.
Well, that's just because of the Yankees and they know people are going to bet them.
Yeah, I guess so. But Phillies and Mariners are 13-1. Braves and Blue Jays are 14-1. Mets are 17-1.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the comments under Steve Cohen's tweet. One of them is smoke behind Dodgers field. Appropriate for a dumpster fire. I hope this tweet blows up in your face. Bang. There's a lot of smoke, Steve. We saw the smoke, but don't smoke. But it's not the smoke we wanted.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I mean,
among a lot of other things that I won't and can't say on here.
Yeah. If you're bored tonight, go do that, I guess.
I just still don't understand why Steve Cohen would tweet out something that directly tied to Tucker if it wasn't actually happening. How do you put that out there
when the job isn't done?
Right. Like, imagine similar to another Mets thing, actually. Remember when Trevor Bauer supposedly had signed with the Mets and he had Mets gear go live in his store?
No, but continue. I'm sure somebody listening does.
When Trevor Bauer was the big-time free agent, he had supposedly signed with the Mets, and he was going to announce it through merch in his store.
Okay.
And the merch went live, and it was Mets gear. And all of a sudden, Bauer didn't sign with the Mets. You know where Bauer signed?
Where's that?
The Dodgers.
Shocker.
But it just reminded me of that, of just prematurely saying something and then having it blow up.
Yep. It's just, I can't believe here we are. How are we in this timeline?
Do we think Bellinger or Bichette sign before we have our next episode?
I don't think so, because I think their market just got so much more interesting.
If you had to pick one mystery team to be in on each of them now, or new team to jump into their races that we really haven't heard anything about, who would it be? Like Toronto and Bellinger have not been connected.
Yeah, I would say Toronto for Bellinger. I would say sneaky, and I don't think it would matter, but I still think it might happen. The Giants for Bichette, because I heard that they were aggressively pursuing second baseman.
I was thinking also possibly the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, they were, but the Diamondbacks for Bellinger, you mean?
No, for Bichette or Bellinger, both of them, because I feel like trying to compete with the Dodgers. Well, yes, but they're looking to shop Marte because of the locker room issues.
I heard that that's not happening anymore. So
we'll see, maybe. But if they do have that opportunity to bring in Bichette, they could easily then pivot back to focusing on moving Marte. Marte can also play the outfield.
Yeah, true.
But you got to compete with the Dodgers now. Now, all eyes are on the NL West. What do the Padres, Giants, Diamondbacks, and even the Rockies look to do to compete?
Yeah. Best of luck to everybody out there. It doesn't seem like a promising venture.
No. Any final thoughts on this whole Tucker ordeal?
Again, people will be mad at the Dodgers. Hey, just, I'm not them, but if I was a Dodgers fan, hate us because they ain't us. That's what I'd be saying. Because if your team was making moves the way that the Dodgers are making moves, you'd be jumping up and down.
It's so disappointing, but I gotta, hand it to them. I wish my team operated like they did at one point in the past. They used to.
Yep.
But not while I was coherent enough to be able to appreciate it. But, Corey Jason, Dylan Mel, this has been an emergency Outsider Sports Baseball podcast. Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, 4 years, $240 million, $60 million a year. This is baseball now.